Markoski and Adam Albright. We are live, which is pretty good. So, hello everyone. If you're here, if you can see us, please type in the chat. Type in, if you can watch us live, type in hashtag live. I'm about to play our intro, and let's do it. Not working, but doesn't matter. That's life. We'll just
Yeah,
talk. Anyway, so
it needs an intro.
what I want to do is I want to welcome everyone, and I wanted to come live tonight because I'm actually going to be going overseas this Saturday, and I really wanted to hang out and catch up with our Aussie investors. And I always love it when I get you on board, Adam, to have a chat because you and I have been mates for a long time. We're pretty close, and we're having a little beer, having a chat, talking
Gonna be
property. And the thing is, like, guys,
cheers.
we don't bring any bullshit. We bring it. It's authentic. It is the way it is. This is what I suggest. If you're a snowflake, you get offended easy. I'd probably switch off now, just to save yourself the heartache. But if you're staunch, if you're good, stay on because you stay on for the ride. It's going to be fun. And what we're going to talk about tonight is something important because we're going to talk about due diligence with builders. How do you choose the right builder? What do we do? Now, before you get to a builder, what I want to talk about is one thing is what needs to happen is you need to first do the research and get in the right area and then find the right product. Find what is it, a townhouse, it is a unit. And I'm going to explain to you why some of these are not a good option. For example, units. So at the moment, with people that have bought units off the plan, quite a large percentage of them are going to be negative. What happened there? We've got Billy on. Okay, why is Billy joining us? But hello, Billy, nice to see you. Great.
Join us for a chat, Josh.
That's great. It's good to see you. Let's join. Let's add Billy. This is going to be great. I just need to learn how to do this because I can't reach her. You're in the green room, Billy, and I've got my new eCam software. Anyway, I'm going to keep going because I can't. I don't know how to reach her. So anyway, so what we're talking about is units, and with units, there's a lot of people that are going to be in trouble. That's the fact of it. And what's happening is this is the challenge. And this is why I say about units. There's always an oversupply. Developers always go overboard and build too much. Now, these people are getting ready to take possession. Their borrowing capacity has gone down. The property price has gone down. They got no equity, and a lot of them got minus equity, and they're actually losing money. That's why it's so important to do your research first. Just don't go around buying willy-nilly just off anyone. You've got to really know your stuff. And that's very, very important. So that's the one thing. Funny enough, guess what's happening on the other end? We're going to end up with a unit crisis because no one's building units anymore. And we're going to end up with a lot of them. There's not going to be enough for all the immigrants coming in, which is fascinating. Now, I can't see the chat. If someone can send me any messages from the chat, if the team are on, just send it to me on Slack. Anyone, any messages so I can look at them, that'd be great. Because we've got our new, here we go. I've got a little chat window here. Look at this. And I've got the chat session, which is great. Hello, everyone. Great to see you all. Okay, so new technology. I think it looks good. It's great. Superannuation. Now, did you hear what the Albanese government's doing at the moment? Okay, so superannuation, right? Yes, I can see your comment, guys. It's all good now. I've got the little app up. So this is what happened. So what I was going to say is, can you read the chat? Can you see it?
No, I can't read it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, what I was going to say is this: superannuation. Superannuation has been a cornerstone of people's strategy to retire. Now, I've never been a big fan of super, and I always say you've got to create your own super and invest in property. That's what I've been telling people. because then you've got more control. And there's a lot of idiots out there over the last 10 or 20 years that have been saying, George, you shouldn't be saying that. It's irresponsible. Super is the gold standard. You should do it. And what? Just because the government, the big corporates tell you to do it? Bunch of idiots. Well, this is what they've done now. If you got more than 3 million super, instead of paying 15% to take your money out, they're going to charge you 30%. They've doubled the tax on super overnight. Can you believe it? So these people have been saving their super all these years because the government's telling them to do it. It's a great way to retire. They're funding their own retirement. They're saving the government money. And now the government's saying, nah, let's just double the tax and take double the tax off you. And that is the problem when it comes to, using managed funds, using super, buying stocks and buying anything, Bitcoin, shares, is you have no control. And the big cats at the top, they can change the rules and you're screwed. But when you own an individual property, you've got a lot more autonomy, right? That's why we're called freedom fighters, because you've got more freedom, right? That's the thing. So there you go. Someone's saying, lol, happy hour. It is. Certainly is happy hour. So now that I've gone past that rant, let's talk about builders and, how long you've been in the building industry for?
Me? I've been over 23 years.
Exactly.
Been around a long time.
That's right. And, the company you used to own is quite big now. It's massive. And they're doing they've just did an $80 million deal with the government.
They did, yes. Sorry, just looking at my messages coming through. Yes, so I was speaking to the owner of a large building company today. He just did a deal. He is the preferred supplier for housing in Southeast Queensland. They've done an $80 million a year for the next 5 years. They've done a contract. So that's a big win for Southeast Queensland and for builders the builders that we're aligned to, George. Like it's a big gain for all of us.
Absolutely, it is. So builders, some are good, some are bad, some are average. How do we choose, the wheat from the chaff? You know what I mean? How do we choose the good ones? How do we get the builders that are going to, actually finish the project? They're not going to go broke. They're not going to rip you off. They're going to fix the defects, all that sort of stuff. Because it's a bit of a nightmare. And builders have got a bad rep. And the reason being is a lot of them have got a bad rep because they deserve a bad rep. They're terrible.
Yep.
Right? And
that's the thing. With this whole COVID, everyone thinks they're a builder. All these new building companies that come out of the woodwork, like they don't know how to manage a building company, don't know how to build a house, and all of a sudden they've gone and got their building license, and now they're so-called builders. And you just have to watch A Current Affair or one of those shows, and you will see almost every week there's another builder going upside down.
Yeah, and there's going to be plenty
a lot more
of builders going broke. Someone's saying, are there properties available for members ready to buy? There certainly is, and we're going to talk about that in our private group. You guys get the special little conversation with me and Adam. Here we're just going to talk to the public group and talk about that stuff. Yeah. So, as you know, as everyone knows, we do a lot of due diligence when it comes to suburbs, and we only pick the top 200 out of the 15 to 16,000 suburbs there are in Australia. So we only get the cream of the crop. We don't just get the cream of the crop. We get the cream on top of the cream. If you were to churn some cream and get the cream on top of the cream, and the reason we do that, the reason we get the cream on top of the cream is because that's how you make money, right? You don't make money just buying any ordinary property. If you're not in the top 200, you're really behind the 8 ball, and quite a large percentage of suburbs, even in good times, go down. That's okay, don't worry. But we will have our private session for the show. So, for example, give me a few examples of some of the properties we've done recently. The ones in Adelaide, we got them for $419,000.
That's right. Yeah, I did some research before we came on tonight.
Look, guys, listen carefully. This is numbers of people that have bought over the last 6 to 12 months, right?
So you don't want suburbs mentioned?
Look, chuck a few suburbs in there. Some of the ones that we're not buying, especially the ones we're not buying in anymore. Let's put those because they've already gone up, right?
No, they're still good suburbs. So, for example, you got Virginia in South Oz. Yep. We were putting, clients were buying in there in the low 4s.
Yep.
and they're now between 485 and 500, and that's before we've even turned any dirt, any soil.
We haven't even touched it yet. That's Virginia. Now the deal
even
is
touched it.
the deal is all these suburbs we mentioned, they've already gone through their initial growth phase. They're still going to grow, but you want to get in at the ground level. You know, these are probably 7, 8 o'clock now. They're not 6 o'clock anymore. They're probably 8 or 9 really. Anyway, keep going.
Well, this one here, for example, George, North Harbour, your clients were buying at 475.
Yep.
And if you can find one at 635, I'd almost run around half naked. Not that you want to see that, but
yep.
like those sort of prices, 100.
And actually, one of our members, he lives up the road. Great guy. His name's Grant. I shouldn't have mentioned his name. Doesn't matter. Now he has got a valuation recently on his property, and he hasn't even settled yet. All he's done is put a deposit in. It's already gone up 45 grand according to the banks. And you know how conservative the banks are. Probably gone up a lot more than that. And so,
Well, to add to that, in my 23 years of being in property and being involved in a lot of settlements, I think in my whole career, I've seen 3 properties that have come in over contract price. It just never, ever happens. But that one you're talking about up in Queensland.
Exactly. But the thing is, since you joined us, though, you see it happen over and over again.
Yeah, but it's just rare that, but a valuer they always value it to the contract.
They do. Exactly.
It's not part of their job to overvalue it.
That's right. So let's talk about how do we find a good builder? What do we do? What's the first step?
The first step, well, I suppose the first step is to actually find a builder. Like, it's not easy to just go out there and say, right, I want to build a house in Timbuktu. You can't just go and just. So what we do is we go out and we research a whole pool of builders. Once we find, say, 5 or 10, we'll shortlist it to 2 or 3. We'll spend a lot of time interviewing, asking questions, and getting down to their basics. What we want to know is about their building insurance. That's a very big thing when it comes to construction, because the government licensing body only allows certain builders. It's like to build a certain amount.
Yep.
So a license that we look for is a DBU, which is an unlimited. U stands for unlimited license.
Yep.
All of our builders have the DBU, but there's other builders there who have got limitations. They can build, $1 million, $5 million, $10 million worth of houses a year.
Yep.
You want to stay away from them only because they can't handle the larger volume. They might be good builders, but they're your mum and dad sort of 1 or 2 home a year builders. So we go through that stage of the insurance.
Then I want to add. What I like to do is I want to add another thing we do is get a credit report on the builder, and make sure that they haven't got bad credit. Because if they've defaulted on a few bills, credit report will pick it up, and we want to stay away from them.
And all that's listed when we do our license check. When you jump on, anyone can do it. You can jump online, the government website, put in the builder's license number. It will tell you how many complaints they've had. Yeah, they'll tell you all that sort of background information. And you can jump on any website.
You've got to look into it. And if they've got a lot of complaints, like at the end of the day, if you're a big enough builder, you're going to have a few complaints here or there. But if it's consistent, you just don't want to do that.
Yeah. Or if they start off at like 2 a year, then 4 a year, then 6, and then they're all of a sudden 20, 40 complaints, run for the hills.
Now, the other advantage we've got is, Adam, you personally know a lot of builders around Australia. You've got relationships with them. And so we can get the inside track because you know what's going on behind the scenes where other people, like you can research everything you can on the internet, but you can make a call and go, what's this guy like? And you will be able to get the real answer from his peers.
That's right.
And that
was going to be one thing I did want to cover tonight, and I'm calling it like industry insights. Like, you can know as much as you can know, but when you've got people on the ground, you can call up, because the building industry is like the car industry, like anything else. That everyone knows what their competitor's doing. So I can call builder A and ask him what builder B's doing. Call builder B and ask him what A's doing, and everyone will talk about the good and the bad about what happened. For example. A quick example here, George. Sorry. Impact Homes. They're a builder who's gone down about in the last 12 months in Southeast Queensland. I knew almost 2 years ago that they were in financial trouble and that things were going to obviously close down with them.
Well,
So it's good to,
funny enough, before you joined us, Impact Homes talked to me about doing some builds for us. And I flew up to
yep.
Queensland, and they showed me one of their show homes, and it was pretty sloppy, right? They had some spilt paint on
That
the
was a display
wall.
home.
Yeah, that was display home. They go, oh, don't worry, our normal properties are much better than this. This is just a display home. I'm thinking, no way. Like,
Yeah,
if you can't get a display home right, forget it.
that's
That's why
exactly
that's why
right.
I like to look at not just their display homes. I like to look at their real place that they're building because that's different. But yeah. So I had a feeling they'd go
And
broke
also,
anyway.
just keep your ear on the ground. Find out, are the trades happy? Are they getting paid? Is there any delays on invoicing? Like you need to check all those sort of back things. And all you do is you walk on site, dress pretty normally. And most tradies will have a chat with you if you walk on site. You walk on there, just be nice to them and ask them, how you going? How's the work? You being
Yeah.
paid?
Well, the thing is, I mean, recently you and I looked at 27 properties in WA, and the
Yeah,
pricing
well,
was right, everything was right, but
I thought the
you,
pricing was cheap. That
yeah,
was that was
look,
where my
that
alarm
was
bells rang.
yes, the pricing was a bit cheap, and your alarms went bell off, and you and I had a chat about it, and then you dug a little bit more, spoke to a few other builders, and we declined. And it's
Mm.
difficult to decline properties that are really good price in a really good area. But that's
Yeah,
one of the things you need to do when you do due diligence. And I'm glad we did because that builder's not around anymore. And whoever bought those
that's
properties, they're in they're in a lot of they've got a lot of hassles, which is lucky it's not us.
every 27 of them. They've all settled on their land, I believe they've paid a building deposit, and now no houses to be built. But
And
now they've gone to build.
there's no way
If
they
they
can
go to
replace
build a
that
house,
price either. They're gonna have to pay more.
that's right. If they go and try to build a house again, they won't be able to because of the price is more than what they were sold the contract for.
Yeah, and I heard of a developer here in Adelaide. He was doing a development around Wallaroo, and what happened was he got the builder, contracted him out. The builder took way too long, took like 2 years, and the guy went broke. Big development,
Mm.
pre-sold everything. So the deal is you've got to be so careful. Now, one thing is when you're going alone into a estate, like let's say there's 40 or 50 townhouses, and you buy one, you haven't got a lot of pull. But when we go in as a company and we get 20 or 30 at a time, they listen to us and we get things done. But also, we know the lingo.
But also having, as I think we touched on it before having the direct contact with the developers. Like we can call up the owner of the company and say, "Hey, one of our townhouses has got an issue. Can you fix it?"
Yep,
Yes. If you can't, that's why. Like we're there to hold your hand through the process. Is what it comes down to.
that's right.
Rather than a lot of mum and dad investors just get concerned and get. I hear it all the time. They get concerned about what to do and do we call lawyers? Do we do this? No, you don't do any of the above.
No,
You just have to speak to the right people and get it fixed. Because once you start going down the legal route with anyone, they put their back up, stop work, and then nothing happens.
yeah, it just costs everyone money. There's no point. You need to really um, get them and move it on. Exactly, that's right. Yeah, so it's interesting. They reckon there's a thing happening in Australia called housing shrinkflation. So,
Meaning,
hey, meaning what's happening is properties are getting smaller, you know,
okay,
because
yep,
of the population. You think about it, right? Um, back in the day, Melbourne had 2 million people, and now there's 6 million people there, right? So
yeah,
land is so much harder to do. So properties, used to be in the 1960s. Properties were $1,000, 1,000 square meter blocks,
yep.
right?
Quarter acre blocks.
Yeah,
That's how they built
that's it.
Australia,
That's what they did, right? And now you're getting 350, 400. You know what I mean? Getting half the size or less than
or
half.
even less. Mate,
Yeah,
I've heard of blocks 200, 250.
yeah. But I mean, look, we live a different life now. We don't have little market gardens in our backyard and everything else like that, and things are different, and that's the fact of it. So that's also another thing. I mean, we've got a different lifestyle.
That's
You know,
right.
you don't need a big yard for good lifestyle. That's the fact of it.
It's always good for your kids to run around in, I suppose,
Yeah, I suppose so.
if you can afford it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah. What else do you do when it comes to builders?
Well, I think we covered off most of the main things. Like as I think I've also mentioned earlier about the quality of their builds. Like I'm out. Like I've been in the car for 3 hours today. I've driven out and looked at some developments, looked at
Yep.
some builds. There's an hour and a half each way. All you do is just keep checking, make sure the builds are done, make sure the quality is done, make sure the time, make sure the houses are built within the contract specified time. Um,
Yep.
that's some of the main things. Oh
Exactly.
yeah,
And also when you run around, I mean, you get to see their staff and see if they're happy, if the trades are getting paid. Because when you go on site, if they're not getting paid, they'll be grumbling and saying something. All right,
yeah,
and that's a really big sign.
of
The thing
course.
is, one thing I'm very proud of is none of our builders have gone broke. I mean,
No,
no
not
one guarantee whether they're going to go broke or not. But the one thing with us, you got the whole circle of safety to help you there. But not only that, um, we've got hit after hit after hit. So far, 100% of our clients that have actually done the program and bought a property have made a profit. Their
yeah.
property's gone
And
up.
and that's a good point because like you can't guarantee that a builder, a builder or even developer will stay solvent.
No.
Like a perfect example, which I thought about earlier, Metricon Homes. They're
Yep.
a very, very large builder, very good builder, been around forever. They had a death of one of the CEOs, and all of a sudden the media has just swarmed around everyone. And next thing you know, Metricon stuff. They're going to go bankrupt. Metron this, Metricon that. There's a lot of bad media. So a
What happened in
media,
the end? What happened in the end?
they're up and running.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. But
The,
I heard a
the owners
rumor.
put some money, government put money in.
I heard a rumor that the owner killed himself.
He did. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, because there was a
Yeah.
lot of heartache and pain during COVID, and they actually had to cancel 6,000 contracts or something like, and give people
Yeah. So
deposits
what
back.
they did is they did. Yeah. They paid people out of contracts because the build costs just got out of control. They still are out of control.
Yep.
Like you're looking at 2,000 a square meter to build a house now, where it was a
Yep.
lot less than that prior to COVID. So these builders are going in, giving you a fixed price contract, and guess what? It's now costing another $700 per square meter to build. I'd rather just say, here, George, here's $5,000, go away, basically.
But I mean,
And
doing
yeah,
that to that many
I believe.
contracts was, I mean, think about it. Going into COVID, they had 6,000 contracts where they're going to make all this profit. And then
Yeah.
suddenly, instead of making 30, 40, 50 grand each contract, they're losing 5 grand, 10 grand a contract.
Well, that's another thing. I think people probably don't understand this. I think people think that builders make a lot of money. Like a normal sort of big project builder, they'd be lucky to make 10% at the end of a build.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you're
So
making 10%, if you get your numbers wrong, it's easy to go backwards.
thank spot
Like,
on,
it's
exactly right.
like at the end of the day,
10% is not a big margin.
there's probably
So
not a lot of.
if your build cost goes up 50, 60%, and you're only making 10, well, that's margin erosion gone.
Well, I mean, you have some rainy days, and there
Yeah,
you go.
you do.
There's more interest you've got to pay. It's a lot more complicated than that. But not only that, I mean, the thing is, I don't think there's many builders that make money the last 2 or 3 years.
No,
You know,
no,
that's the fact of it. If they broke even, they were lucky, and a lot of them had to lose money.
they're
That's why
lucky.
lots of them went broke. And the ones that have been around for a long time and have got good management in place, they can weather the storm, and that's the good part.
Yeah,
But the cowboys that have come in, they're all going, right? And
that's right.
this is sort of like, it's a bit like Australia. With Australia, you have bushfires and it regenerates the landscape, right? Well, this is a bit like a bushfire. It's going to get rid of all the shitty, shoddy builders and maybe a few good ones as well that just didn't get their numbers right. Because, if
Yeah,
you get it wrong at the wrong time, it can happen to anyone. and then that's what. Then we're going to go ahead again. That's all.
Well, even the HIA, the housing industry, is aware of this. I was watching the news, I think this week or last week, and the HIA boss came out and said there's going to be a lot more builders still to go under.
Yeah.
So, like, even the governing, even the body for the builders is aware of what's happening out there.
Yeah, there you go. Well, look, guys, we're running out of time. We've got 1 minute to go. So, if you've got any questions, quick, rapid fire, chuck them in there. Adam, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you, mate.
I'm just trying to go through my notes, making sure I've covered everything.
I'm going overseas, but April I'm coming back and coming up to Queensland to come visit you, have a look at some properties, do a few things.
Fantastic.
Yep, which would be good. And everyone else, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Next Thursday, I'm going to be coming live from Bali. I'm going to do it. What the hell? Should be fun. You know, I'll be having a cocktail instead of a beer. I'll be coming live for Bali. So, guys, make sure you join me. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great. And it's going to be awesome. Can you please DM me the link to private chat, please? Is the high demand for rentals helping units? Appreciate your time and efforts, gentlemen. Thank you. Just quickly, is the high demand for rentals helping units? Not at the moment, because the funny thing is most of the units haven't been completed, so the rents don't affect them, and the valuations do. So the funny thing is, in the short term, units going down, it's going to be a lot of pain. In the long term, there could be an opportunity units. But you've got to stick to the basics. Sometimes I don't mind buying units. I do buy units from time to time, and also our members do. But mostly I do house and land or townhouses. That's the way to go. Thank you, Adam. We'll see you same bat channel, same bat time, live from Bali next year. Bye-bye.